1 minute. I would like to call the committee meetings to order. Happy New Year to everyone. First order of business, I'd like to invite our Vice President of Safety, Security, and Business Continuity, Shane Hunter, to provide a briefing regarding protocols for all individuals in attendance at the board meeting in the event of an emergency. Shane?
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're located in the Legislative Chamber at 1819 Farnham Street on the second floor, which is known in this building as the LC level. Normal exit from the building will be through the way we came in, but there are two emergency exits, one located behind the accordion panel over here, where there's also a fire extinguisher. The other emergency exit is over behind this accordion panel where there's a fire at the flagpoles where we conduct accountability. That concludes the briefing.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Friend.
Phones. I would also like to announce that this meeting is being broadcast live. At this time, Dave DeBoer for CNO.
So good morning and Happy New Year. Here we go, 2020. This month, January, we've got a pretty big month. We got 17 expenditures this month. We've got 6 associated with annual authorizations and expenditures. And we've got another 6 items on system improvements and 5 items on building plants and equipment. I will take a little time and walk through these annual authorizations. They are significant, so I wanted to touch base on each of those. The first annual expense is for $1 million. It's our Crossbores program. This is an ongoing program to inspect the sanitary sewer laterals such that they're not penetrated by a gas service. This effort started about 9 years ago, and the initial inspection program is now complete. However, this expense and the inspections will continue as a replacement of leaky services. In 2020, we plan to replace 184 leaking services, reconnect 3,900 infrastructure replacement gas services, and install over 1,600 new gas services. So not only are we growing as a company, we're also replacing as a company, another pretty significant expenditure. The third annual expenditure is for $1.9 million to install new gas meters, regulators, and replacement meters that are part of our meter change-out program, water services, and replace about 250 services. So that's all part of the ramp-up in our water main extension, the water service reconnect number. That with the water mains, we'll continue working on 25 miles. Some of these miles will be standalone infrastructure replacement projects, and other miles will be part of relocation. The last annual authorization is kind of item 2 under infrastructure replacement. It's for $19.9 million for the installation or rehabilitation. That's another word we're introducing. So not only are we replacing and abandoning miles of our water infrastructure, we're also rehabilitating them. But for 2020, our goal is 9. But in anticipation of hitting 15 miles next year, we're ramping up to 13 miles this year. So all of Joe's budgeting and all of our design efforts going to be for 13 miles next year as we start to target that 15 miles in 2021.
So you're putting this all on Joe?
I'm putting the money part on Joe.
Oh, okay.
The engineering will be happy to take on the design part, but Joe's got to make sure it all comes together on the dollar side. This is a picture of our 36th and Edna plant. This plant is just south of Harrison, or this repump station is just south of Harrison. It was built in the late 1960s, 1966, 1967. There's 3 pumps, and this station produced 1.1 billion gallons last year. As a kind of just as a wrap of our total system, we put out about 29 billion gallons, and this station represented 4% of that total repump load. This station's now over 50 years old, so we're going to be replacing almost all the electrical equipment and some of the mechanical equipment. There's 2 Worthington pumps on the foreground. If you look in the back, you'll see an engine back there too. We're going to keep most of the mechanical devices, but this engine here was made by Climax. It's a manufacturer that got bought out by Waukesha in the 50s, and in 1980s they stopped manufacturing this engine. So our crews have done a really nice job of fabricating and replacing. We've got some wonderful craftsmen that keep these old engines running, but it's time to replace it. And so this engine with the associated switchgear, the motor control centers, we're going to add a new variable frequency drive. We're going to replace all that as part of this capital upgrade. So this upgrade at Edna is $1.3 million. And then the last item, the second expenditure, this pump station will reinforce the water supply to the northwest metropolitan area, as well as provide Zone 3 redundancy during peak hour periods. So that Zone 3, that northwest Omaha area, has a pretty high irrigation load. And during certain periods of the morning, primarily in that 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning when everyone's irrigation systems are turning on, we get pretty close to needing some redundancy in and around that area. So this pump station will provide that backup and supplies. The design includes a new building, 4 pumps, 2 VFDs, and associated electrical switchgear. The land purchase for this pump station was approved at the September 2018 board meeting. If you remember, that was part of that Lifegate Church. They had a parking lot that this board approved at that time. The district initiated a request for qualifications and proposals for the design effort. The RFQ went out to 7 firms. We got responses from 3 of them and proposals from 2. And so the recommendation is that we award the design to Olson and Associates. Any questions on this capital expenditures letter?
Yes, but just a quick question. The pump station, we're going to do the design in 2020.
Correct.
Is there a timeline for construction? Have we gotten there yet, or
Yeah.
do we know?
So the 156th Street pump station is the one you're talking about, or the Edna?
156.
156. So yeah, the approach is to do the design for this year, and then depending how that design goes and bids go out, we'd like to start construction even the next year.
Okay.
So 2021 would be ideal.
Okay, and then one last question to Joe. All these capital projects and all this money in our capital budget?
You know, I'll say for the most part, yes. And the reason I'm answering that way, Mike, is you get more current information. You get the ability to better define what's going on. So yes, with the exception of about $1 million to $1.2 million on the water side, the budget's a little short by about $1.2 million. We believe we have the ability to make that up by perhaps deferring something.
Because there's a lot of annual expenses
There are.
here, more than usual, I think. But
Yes.
I just want to make sure that in the budget planning, it was all.
The debt service was right around $123 million. So this one letter, you're right, Director McGowan, this one letter represents almost half. So we're asking for about half of that total budget right out of the gate as we prepare for next year.
Thank you.
2 quick questions for you.
You bet.
These are more formatting.
You bet.
Just as Corey's done with the main extensions presentation, going forward, would it be possible to identify which sub-districts the system improvements are taking place in?
Yeah, we could put together a little map and kind of identify where some of those projects are.
Great. And then secondly, to dovetail Mike's point, would it also be possible for system improvements and the building plants and equipment going forward to provide a conservative estimate as to when the timeline for completion with those would be? And I understand that might be difficult, but if at all possible, to provide a timeline for those items, that would be
For the pump
appreciated.
stations?
Well, for
Or just in-
system improvements or anything happening with our buildings and plants, any capital work being done. Right,
So
exactly.
a completed schedule.
And I know that might
so much a
not be easy to do. If at all possible, that would be greatly
So probably
appreciated.
what we'll do is we'll probably add like a sentence about when construction should occur, or something like that.
That'd be great.
Yeah, no
Thank
problem.
you, Dave. Appreciate that.
Any other items on the capital expenditures letter? All right, let's move into acceptance of contracts and payments of final estimates. We had, the finals all look pretty good this month. We had one item that I would like to highlight. It's on the bottom of page 2. It's the McGill restoration and rehabilitation of Basin 1 at Florence Water Treatment Plant. This
John Zellers, please. Tab 8.
Good morning. Happy New Year. I'm John Zellers, Director of Purchasing. Bids on materials and contractors can be found on tab 8. There's just one item I'd like to discuss this morning, and it may be found at the top of page 3. We received bids for the 36th and Edna Pump Station project that Mr. DeBoer spoke about. Though several bidders were directly contacted and we held 2 pre-bid meetings to provide project overview and answer questions, only 1 bid was received. This project is approximately 70 to 75% electrical work. The board may recall that we have recently discussed the tight market for electrical contractors in the Omaha area due to multiple large data centers projects and other local projects. Due to the equipment nearing its useful life, challenges in maintaining the equipment, and continual challenges in procuring replacement parts, for the project, we recommend that we move forward with the project and accept the bid that was submitted by Commonwealth Electrical Company. That's all I have for you this morning, but would be happy to answer any questions. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Corey O'Brien, Vice President, Engineering and Construction. Behind tab 9, we'll have this month's main extension letter, the first being the gas project. This is a main extension to provide gas to the Harrison 210 subdivision at 213th and Harrison Streets. Management's recommending we oversize approximately 1,900 feet of main as a 4-inch main at an estimated cost of about $18,000. This is about a 640-foot long main extension in total. The developer is going to be responsible for about 70% of this. The district is recommending that we provide an 180-foot main extension on top of that to connect it in with the system. This will improve reliability and fire flows in the area. So the estimated district cost of our part would be about $23,000, and this cost would be reimbursable to us once other abutting properties develop. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.
Bonnie Savine, Personnel, tab 10.
Good morning. Well, we wrapped up another year, actually another decade. So to briefly highlight the end of year employee counts, we'll begin with 2018. We had 794 regular full-time employees and 8 regular part-time employees for a total of 802 regular employees. Excuse me. For 2019, we ended the year with 810 regular full-time employees and 4 regular part-time employees for a total of 814. This is on college students that have completed a year, at least 1 year of college, but we do accept applications for college-bound students, those who have graduated from high school and are at least age 18. And so if we do have room for those students, we do consider them as well. And then we do have 4 categories of work that we open the application process for. We have field survey work and include the following jobs. Administrative Clerk 3 from the Meter Services Division, that was previously titled Measurement, and Communications Clerk 2 in the Dispatch Division under Safety and Security. I'd like to recognize Terry Kroll, Tom Todd, Gary Troutman, and Ann Bozen for their efforts in leading the process this year, as well as all of those who participated. It was a timely process this year, so thanks to them as well. Are there any questions on that?
Process, a year-long process for these wage reopeners? I mean, you come to us once a year for the whole year?
That's correct. It actually opens in July, and meetings begin sometime between August, September. We had some meetings in October, so we try to use the committee's schedule and the employees and the supervisors' schedules because they are all invited to the meetings. And then there is considerable review and follow-up that occurs after the initial employee meetings. And so we like to see those wrapped up in either December or January. So,
can union or management recommend a review of a particular job, or does it all come from union representatives, or what?
yes, for the reopener process that happens, that is actually employee initiated. They utilize the request form and route that through their supervisors, so their supervisors are involved in the process. If a supervisor feels that a job has changed or has had considerable or significant material changes, then it's upon them to contact supervisors in their chain, HR, revise a job description, and have a discussion at that point to reclassify the job if needed.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, thank you.
Are there any members of the public who would like to address the board right now, whether it's on the agenda or not? Any staff from MUD that would wish to address the board at this time? Any board members who have something to say? Okay.
Question for Jim Knight. December seemed to be rather warm. How much warmer than normal? Do you know? Do you have any statistics on it?
Meteorologist Jim Knight.
Jim Knight, Vice President Gas Operations. Other duties is assigned to
I
me.
got you.
December was, heating degree days were about 15% lower than normal, so gas sales are about 10% below budget for December.
Okay,
So yeah, it's been mild.
been mild. Haven't
Yeah.
used any LNG or any?
No.
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 And Joe, as a follow-up, how far behind budget revenue-wise are we for December roughly?
Well, I mean, certainly we're just now starting to close the book, so I can't answer that. I mean, through November, we're very positive to budget, I think, as you're aware. So certainly we don't like to see this, but for the year, we're quite healthy versus budget.
Yep, and for December, with the lower revenues, do we reach into the cash reserves?
Well, when we did the budget, we were through September actual, and we had very strong October, November, so I suspect not.
Okay,
Yeah, Mike, October and November, we're stronger than, they make up for what the lower sales in December.
oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right, good.
If this trend continues, do you see it affecting the gas supplies and purchase price for next year?
Well, it already is.
Oh, it is?
Oh, yeah, because we're seeing gas prices for January are about $2.35, $2.40. A year ago, they were about $1 higher.
I see.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Tim, one other question.
Sure.
Just, not for you, Jim, I'm sorry. Just out of curiosity, how many employees have been relocated to the new headquarters at this point?
Okay, can you hear me? So, Dr. McGowan, right now it's about 130 people are at the new building, minus the senior team, legal department, and the folks that actually transitioned to the OPPD branch. So it's about 130 right now over there.
Good.
And they are on the first floor, and the initial feedback has been very positive.
And renovations going on the second?
Yes, sir. The second floor and the third floor currently right now is just demolition, ripping out some of the aesthetics and to get it prepared for final move.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Anything else? Well, that concludes our committee meetings at this time. We will reconvene at 9 a.m. for the general board meeting. Thank you. Okay, let's start taking our seats, please. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Friend? Here. Frost? McGowan? Here. Howard? Here. Kavanaugh?
Here.
Bagley? Here. Cook?
I would like to advise those in attendance that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is available on the wall of the legislature. I also would like to remind those in attendance this meeting is being broadcast live. And for now, for those who wish to participate, we will recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the committee and public hearing and regular board meeting from December 5th. Any discussion? Roll call.
Friend? Yes. Frost? Aye. McGowan?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Bagley?
Yes.
Cook?
Okay. Item 5, at this time we will take up the 2020 election for the new board chairperson and vice chairperson. And I would like to take this opportunity to nominate Gwen Howard for the position of board chair. Is there a second?
Second.
Who was second?
Oh,
All of them.
thank you.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Friend?
Yes.
Frost? Aye. McGowan?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Bagley?
Yes.
Cook?
Thank you.
Let it be done.
Oh,
You got to take your own book, though.
let me slide that. Oh,
And my coffee.
oh, well, is there anything else?
My glasses.
Oh, your glasses and the
My washer and dryer.
keys to the house. And at this time, I would like to nominate Tanya Cook for the vice chairperson seat. Do I hear a second? Thank you.
Discussion?
Roll.
Roll call.
Friend?
Yes.
Frost? McGowan? Howard?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Bagley?
Yes.
Cook?
At this time, I'd like to take a moment, and it's my distinct pleasure to thank Mr. Kavanaugh for his service to the district this past year. As chair of the MUD Board of Directors, and I'm more than pleased to present him with this plaque honoring his service. He's been an outstanding leader and certainly a good example for me to follow. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Mrs. Howard. I appreciate the kind words, and I would like to just mention briefly I don't think we've ever had a year with more important things going on and big things happening. The sale of the district building, our move, but none of this could be successful without the rest of the district and the support they've given us. You guys thank the board quite a bit for our support. It's your support that really makes this place go. So I want to thank you all for helping. The way you deal with customer issues is remarkable, and I'm very happy with every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
On to agenda item number 6, capital expenditures. Do I have a motion? Who's, Director Frost?
Fine. Item 6, capital expenditures, these were discussed, and I move for approval.
Second.
Let's have a, thank you for the motion. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on this matter? No, I hear none. Do you want to take the roll call, please?
Friend?
Oh, thank you.
Friend?
Yes.
Frost?
Aye.
McGowan? Yes. Howard?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Bagley?
Yes.
Cook?
Agenda item number 7. Could I,
Contracts and payment of final estimates discussed and move for approval.
thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and we have a second. Could we have any discussion? Could we have roll call?
Friend?
Yes.
Frost?
Aye.
McGowan? Yes. Howard?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Bagley?
Yes.
Cook?
Moving on to item number 8, bids on contracts and materials.
Move for approval.
Thank you. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, we'll move on to roll call.
Friend?
Yes.
Frost?
Aye.
McGowan?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Bagley?
Yes.
Cook?
Agenda item number 9, and this will be main extensions. And Director Friend, could you handle that, please?
Main extensions discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Mr. O'Brien to the committee dated December 23rd.
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, could we move on to roll call?
Friend?
Yes.
Frost? McGowan? Howard?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Bagley?
Yes.
Cook?
And item number 10, wage and salary increases and ratifications. And is there a motion?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I move that we approve the wage and salary increases and ratifications as outlined in the December 23rd memo from Ms. Savine and as discussed in committee.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Very quiet. All right, roll call, please.
Friend?
Yes.
Frost?
Aye.
McGowan? Howard?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Bagley?
Yes.
Cook?
And for item 11, I move that we approve the 2019 wage reopener recommendations as outlined in the December 23rd memo from Ms. Savine and discussed in committee.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Friend?
Yes.
Frost?
Aye.
McGowan? Howard?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Bagley?
Yes.
Cook?
Agenda item number 12, the appointment of committees. The board members have been appraised of the 2020 committee assignments, and copies have been distributed to each board member today. It's not necessary to have a vote on this. If anyone has any comments, this is the time to say them. You good? Good. Agenda item number 13, other matters of business for discussion. And Vice President Sue Lobsiger, I hope I didn't do too bad a job on that. Please, Sue, could you give us an update on customer service?
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
Sue Lobsiger, Vice President for Information Technology and Customer Service. Thank you for your time this morning. I want to just give you a brief update on the customer service function here at the district. Before I begin, I do have members of our management team here, so I'd just like to do some name and faces and do some introductions for you. First, I'll start with my leadership team. Shalyn Buffum, if you wouldn't mind standing, because I don't think they can see you. Shalyn Buffum is the Director for Customer Service. She's accountable for our call center operation. Delise King is the manager for our customer accounting group. So they're responsible for all customer billing and remittance processing. Make sure all the payments get to the right places. Emilio Libre, he is the manager for our branch operations over at OPPD. And in addition, if you ever look at all of our district materials that are bilingual, Emilio's the one that does that. He does all the translations. So thank you for that, Emilio. And then we have some of our supervisors here as well, if you wouldn't mind standing. Tiffany Mance is the supervisor in customer accounting. Bernadette Armstead is one of our floor supervisors in the call center. And Ramita Walls is our supervisor for the for our quality assurance program. And we also have one of our union stewards and one of our senior clerks here, Kim Plummer, sitting amongst everyone. So, Shallon and I are going to kind of tag team a little bit in a little update. Shallon's going to start. She's going to talk a little bit about mission and a summary of 2019, and then I'll follow up with some of the initiatives that we have planned. Shallon?
Good morning. Again, I'm Shallon Buffum, and I am the Director of our Customer Service Division. And today I'd like to give you a brief update on some of the initiatives that we worked on in 2019, and then I'll turn it over to Sue, and she'll talk about some of our future initiatives. But first, what I'd like to do is just really highlight what our mission statement is for customer service, and that is to deliver superior customer service through accurate, timely, and respectful interactions to our community. And what this is really saying is this is what we want our interactions with the customers to look like anytime that they have dealings with the customer service division. Each of the initiatives that we've been working on and that we will continue to work on ultimately lead back to this mission statement. So some of the initiatives we worked on in 2019 are surrounded around the organizational and leadership changes, such as the forming of a partnership at OPPD, and we successfully moved staff over there to what we now call the branch. The feedback I've received from customers has been very positive, and they certainly appreciate that we still have a continued downtown presence. We also brought Sue and I on as the new VP and Director of Customer Service. As well, we brought on a dedicated scheduling and analytics supervisor. And what this person does is really focuses on analyzing some of our call center data, looking at some of the trends for the call center, forecasting, and also streamlining our schedules. And that's just really to make sure that we have adequate coverage in the call center at all times. Okay, so we also introduced some simplified productivity metrics. And what this does is really give the agents a clear focus on how they're handling the customer calls and really understanding what metrics we want them to meet in the call center. I will say with the productivity metrics, as well as with any other change, we did work extensively with the union on this. It is important that we have that open dialogue with them, and we want to make sure that everybody is on board. We met also with the employees and some members of senior management, and the new metrics were very well received, so we will move forward with those in 2020. We'll also make sure to involve the union and have those discussions with the union for any future changes or improvements that we would like to put in place. In addition to the simplified metrics, we also rolled out revised incentives to the call center, and this is really just a way for us to continue recognizing some of the top performers in the call center, as well as making sure that the employees are feeling valued and appreciated. And to improve productivity and call quality, we introduced a searchable engine for the reference and training materials of the call center. And what we did with this is we moved all of the training documents out into an open text format, and this really helps streamline the process for the customer service agents and really gives them a faster and easier way to retrieve that information while they're on the phone with the customer. It's kind of similar to a Google search. We also have efforts that are underway to simplify the IVR options, and this will contribute to one-call resolution as well as improve the customer satisfaction. And along with hiring of a dedicated supervisor for the scheduling and analytics, we've also initiated due diligence of a scheduling tool. And what this will do is help us streamline the scheduling and offer more flexible scheduling options. Right now, this process is a manual process, so we definitely would like a scheduling tool that'll help streamline that a little bit. And last but not least, we've also introduced customer service forums. And what this does is really gives the employees an opportunity to engage with senior management and help build those relationships with Sue and other members of management and really keep that continuous dialogue going. So these are some of the things that we've done in 2019. We have made great progress, but we do have a lot more that we want to do in 2020 that Sue will talk about. But are there any questions I can answer about any of these initiatives?
I have What is IVR? IVR options?
The
IVR?
interactive voice response.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
I didn't know that. And then could you give me a couple of examples of the metrics that you're using?
Sure. The metrics, we simplified it down to 4 metrics for the employees that we want them to meet, and it's about their talk time, their percentage of wrap-up time, their work time, and then also the average number of calls per hour. So those are the 4 metrics that we've sent out to them that we want them to really focus on, and it's really about how they're handling that phone call and how much time they're spending on the phone with the call or with the customer.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Say job well done this year to all of you. It's a
Thank
tough,
you.
tough job. Nobody's calling because they want to wish you Merry Christmas. So dealing with customer problems is a challenging thing, and you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I would certainly extend that to all of them and to the agents as well, because I certainly can't do it myself. So.
Kavanaugh has said, it's so important because you're the voice that they hear. And
Yes.
people talk to their neighbor and say, I had a good experience.
Yes.
Hopefully, we
Yes.
want them all to say that.
Yes,
So
we do.
thank you so much for keeping that in mind.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Any other questions? All right, I'll turn it over to Sue.
So I'll start with an apology to Jeremy Bach because I skipped right over him as I was doing introductions. Jeremy is accountable to the scheduling and analytics, so he is our time and numbers guy. So I want to talk about initiatives. We've kind of looked at our initiatives around 4 key pillars: customer experience, leadership, employee experience, and productivity and efficiency. And again, back to mission. Some of these initiatives cross some of these pillars, but I don't think that we do justice if we just focus on one area. So our initiatives are spread across these 4 pillars. In customer experience, certainly the customer service department at the district is not the only one that interacts with our customers. Many of the departments at the district does, but customer service obviously is a key player. And we think often when we talk customer service about the call center, but we interact many different ways. So Shannon already kind of teed up this idea of simplifying the options in the IVR when you call in, so it's a simpler experience. We're also looking at enhancing some of our self-service options for the customers on the website. And this past year, as we introduced text ahead for our service orders, our customers have the option of doing a survey after that. We want to take a similar survey and apply it to the call center. So at the conclusion of a call, customers have the option to provide some feedback through a survey. We are also working with Stephanie Mueller's group in corporate communication, and we've started a discussion about how we can introduce the concept of customer preferences, so customers can tell us how they want to be interacted with, depending upon what the nature of the topic is, whether it be email or phone call or mail. We've had some discussions about expanding the call center hours. A lot has to go into doing that, but I know when I first arrived here, some friends of mine said, "Oh, you're working at MUD. When will I be able to talk to someone after I get home from work? Because I don't have the opportunity during work." So it's not simple to do that, but it's a goal where we'll have a lot of homework to do to get there. We'll be working with HR and the union on if that's feasible and how we would do it. Also, under customer experience, we're looking at introducing the idea of customer chat, so you can chat instead of phone call or email. Under leadership, we're looking at automating some reporting. So we give you numbers all the time. It's very manual in what we do. We want to automate some of that work, introduce dashboards so people can see those KPIs on a regular basis. We're having some discussions about developing a leadership development program. So we want to be able to coach and mentor our staff and encourage them and provide a good climate. I think the way that you do that is focusing on your leaders and developing leaders. And then finally, we are looking at how we collaborate with industry peers. So we've tipped our toe in that, in that we've already reached out and had discussions with the customer service folks at NPPD, LES, and OPPD. So when Shallon starts talking about our productivity measures, we kind of bounced ideas around with them, how they do that, and what works for them and what doesn't. And so that's been very well received. They're all looking forward to continued conversations like that. Under employee experience, right, we don't have a good customer experience if we don't have a good employee experience. So we're looking at how we might be able to introduce different scheduling options, provide some flexible scheduling, good work-life balance, developing some cross-divisional training opportunities. So what does this mean? One of the observations that I have made is as our new class starts next week, they're going to go through 12 weeks of training, and they get a broad view of everything that happens at the district. But it's within the customer service function, and then they sit down and they go to work. And they really don't see much beyond the walls of the call center. And so I think an opportunity for them to better feel part of the district and how they connect is to provide some of those cross-divisional opportunities. And then, of course, as we move to the new headquarters, we want to leverage that so we have a good working environment for our staff. And then finally, under productivity and efficiency, we have two different call systems in the district. So ACD is our automated call distributor, and we're looking at how we can consolidate that while we also look at the scheduling tool that Shallon mentioned. So we don't have a large staff. Scheduling is manual and it's manageable, but if we look to expand hours or provide some scheduling options, a scheduling tool that can look at your history of calls, call volume, and help you do that scheduling, I think could be very helpful here. Delise and I have had some different discussions about enhancing our collection activity and looking at options of what we can do there. We'll also have discussions about expanding our QA function so we have good feedback for our staff. And then we want to execute a campaign around paperless billing and self-service. So we encourage our customers so that they're aware of other options and it doesn't always require a phone call. So those are some of the things that either are underway, we've started due diligence on, or we've started discussions about what we want to do in the coming months. What questions do you have?
Good.
So I just want to thank you and your team for doing a great job. And as we know, it's a very challenging position and a challenging place to work. One thing I do want to emphasize, though, I know we as a district like to hit those KPIs, and I think there's a balance to be had between the quality of work that we do and the quantity of work that we do.
Absolutely.
And with regard to our employees, it's a stressful position. In discussions I've had with current and former employees, a topic was raised about when you have a disgruntled customer and you have a difficult customer to deal with. What efforts are being done with our employees, either through training or guidance, to help the staff decompress from a stressful call? Are they encouraged to get away from the phone for 5 minutes? What's being done to make sure our employees are coping with those stressful calls?
So absolutely, after a stressful call, you'll see people just stand up, go for a little walk, go to the break room, take a breather before they take that next call, absolutely. And I think part of, when I talk about leadership development, it ultimately ends up focused on the employee, right? So how can I make sure that our supervisors on the floor are well equipped to coach and mentor and help those employees? So I'm really starting there with the ultimate goal of ultimately helping our employees.
That sounds great. And one thing I want to make sure of is that when a supervisor sees an employee walk away from their workstation for 5 or 10 minutes, that they don't grab them by the ear and say, oh, those KPIs, you need to get back here and get on the phone and take more calls. There's a happy balance to be had, and I just want to make sure that that is seen through.
Absolutely. I actually think that some of the KPIs that we've moved to actually promote and help that a little better than before as well. So
great, thank you.
No, that is such a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. And thank you for the good job you do. You're a very supportive individual, and I'm sure the employees appreciate that. Thank you.
So, thank you.
President Doyle, please take the floor.
Good morning, Mark Doyle, President. Happy 2020 to you all. And Mr. Kavanaugh, thank you for your comments. Happy 2020 to you all. I love the new format because I can truly say they're watching my back. And with the kind of things that we're getting after, I need people to watch my back, so I appreciate it. And it's really nice to have the full CSR management team and the engagement that we're seeing, the things that have gone on this year. I'm trying not to take too much of your time, but I don't want Ms. Howard to have the shortest meeting of the year in January. So a few moments of your time, I appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
absolutely.
One of the things that I'll talk about quick, because I see Emilio here, is the ability to move forward and have a downtown presence amidst everything we're doing has been nothing short of stellar. We've created an environment over in the lobby across the street where if you walk in, it's such a positive, energized atmosphere. There's something that happens now and then that you can't plan, and to watch the OPPD employees and the MUD employees, you know, we talk about the MUD team, and I'm sure they talk about the OPPD team. They're all talking about the downtown public utility team, so thank you all for that. That was not easy. These things may look easy, but they really do take a lot of dedicated hard work and great attitude, and try to overlook the things that may not make everyone happy, so I can't, hats off. Nice work. So as we get into 2020, Mr. Kavanaugh mentioned that we had a big 2019, and we certainly did. We're going to have a more challenging 2020. Of course, we're moving the downtown headquarters, and that's on track to happen this year in a well-managed way. We'll do everything we can to expedite and create workspace for our employees that we've never dreamed of, really. So I know we have a downtown headquarters to move, but it's really about a facilities master plan. And I think you'll see in our capital budgets that we're addressing that. We're going to go forward responsibly and effectively to optimize all of our facilities to do the things we do. And what do? We provide safe, reliable, cost-effective, life-essential services to this community, which are high-quality water and natural gas. So we're going to continue with the gas infrastructure replacement, but it's bigger than that. As you know, we have a master plan on the gas side that includes some things that Mr. Knight, our meteorologist, has referred to. Our study of our vaporization and liquefaction options at LNG and how that affects everything we do on the gas side. This is as big as anything, even though we don't talk about it as much as maybe, we talk about it a lot. I'll back off on that comment. I would say that employee and public safety is number one. It always will be. I'll just leave it at that. We'll do everything we can to make sure that safety of our employees and the public are first and foremost in everything we do. This will be the year of ramping it up on employee engagement and workforce development. And our attrition numbers are going to remain high. We know this, so we need to get after it. And one example is the training initiatives that were mentioned earlier. It's not just the call center, though. It's everywhere. It's field service. It's construction. It's the back office. It's everywhere in this company. It's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. But we need to ramp up the way we train, how effective we train, and how quickly we provide these opportunities to our employees, because the good news is our employees have stellar opportunities in this utility if they choose to spend the rest of their careers here. We have some daunting tasks. I haven't mentioned water yet, but Dave knows I'm going to. So I think there's an old saying that it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I'm no more cognizant of that. I'm more cognizant of that than I ever have been. We've made some major strides on getting after our water infrastructure problem. I think we're going to have a record year of disruptions in our community with water emergencies, which otherwise known as water main breaks. It's not a surprise to us, but keep the faith, and I know what we sell is confidence, and you mentioned earlier, Ms. Howard, about our neighbors talking to each other. It's really important that when they do talk to each other that they talk confidently about us, because we want to remain the best choice going forward as our community's public utility. So I'm not going to reiterate the things that have gone on the water side, but I feel like we're in a better spot than we have been in a long time to get after this, institutionalize some processes in terms of innovation, new products, the way we handle it, the analytics we're going to use, and everything that's involved in that. And we're talking to utilities all over the country. We're not alone, and we all do things better than each other, so we do share a lot of good information. And I do want to add on, we have thousands of interactions, not just in the call center, every year. Our field service folks, our construction folks, we have people in the community every day, and I would say those interactions are stellar, and it's the reason that our public stands by us even in the face of things that don't always go right. We sell confidence. Now, I would like to mention that it's Raid's last board meeting. Stand up, Mr. State. You don't have to stay up long. I want to thank Raid for his service to the district. You all know Raid. He's been here since August of 2009, is that right? Came in the IT group, formerly was with SAP America as a senior portfolio consultant and ConAgra Foods in various capacities, which brought him to Omaha. And if you know Raid, you know he's from Philadelphia, right? And you know what's happening in his house right now other than working at MUD. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. We don't have sports teams like that around here, so I've become an Eagles fan just by osmosis. A lot of things have occurred that Raid's been involved in. A couple of them that I'd highlight would be our implementation of GIS and electronifying millions of records, and the connection between GIS and our open text document solution. These are things that other utilities are working toward, but they don't all have because they don't just happen. I would say there's a direct correlation between Raid and many others in the room with our 2-hour window. We are delighting our customers with the 2-hour service window. We're leading the community in that regard. The text ahead option where customers can opt in and get a text 24 hours before their service order begins, and then again when the technician heads to the home, is leading the community. I don't know if we're the only leader, but no one compares to that. That delights our customers. To add on a survey to that is wonderful, so we can find out what our customers think and make sure that their confidence is what we think it is. We'll do that in the call center also. And click scheduling is part of that helped underpin the ability to not only provide a 2-hour service window, Mr. Kavanaugh, we're going to call it the 2-hour, well, I'll stop. But we're going to quit talking about it because now it's just standard operating procedure. But thank you for your push and the whole board on those sort of things. It also allowed us to reduce our average emergency response time, and that is very significant. We've gotten better. It's taken some time, but hats off to the board for supporting us, to the entire MUD family for doing the work it takes to do that. Our community is safer because of that, and our services are more reliable because of that. Raid's also helped with establishing the facilities master plan that we tend to talk about moving the new headquarters, but there's so much more to it than that. There'll be a day where you can look back to Omaha and see that we have a world-class training facility for our folks for gas and water and our tactical village and those sort of things that are not just nice to haves. We have an obligation to the public to make sure that we're upping what we do on training and preparing our employees for the future. And I would say he's been a key resource for me just in general and helping to lead the charge with our new look at going down the road with water like we are. This is not a simple thing. It takes reorganization. It takes some retooling, putting people in positions that are different than they were in or that they expected to be in. And always there to lend a little moral support when I get down and feel a little lonely. Not that that ever happens, but these are daunting tasks. We're going to get after this water infrastructure plan like never before, and there will come a day where we'll reduce the emergencies, but more importantly, we need to stem the tide and level it off. You've all seen the graph. So wanted to say thanks to Raid for his service and good luck in the future. Bring some nice things to another lucky gas utility and make the country a safer place. So I'd like to give him a hand. Your ongoing support is invaluable to us, and your customers, I know they appreciate you. And once in a while, we do get a Merry Christmas on the phone. Is that not true? I think we do, because we have such nice, polite agents in the face of everything. Great questions, Mr. Begley. We know that there is a little bit of a psychological impact of those kind of calls. Some of those make their way to me. I just keep smiling, because we're here to do what we do. Any questions for me? Thank you for giving me a little bit of time. And congratulations on the...
Your vision is 2020, by the way.
It's 2020. It always has been. I've been the lucky one. Yeah. And congratulations,
Thank
Chairman
you.
Howard
Thank
and
you,
Vice
President
Chairman
Doyle.
Cook. I don't think anyone's ever had, now I spent almost 2 decades with Mr. Frost on the board. I don't think we've ever had everybody placing a second. That was kind of nice.
Well, thank you.
I noticed things like that. Anyway, thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, President Doyle. Do the board members have any further comments?
I just want to join Mark and the rest of the board in wishing Raid and his family the very best. You will be truly missed. You've added great value to the district, and I've enjoyed working with you and your friendship. Best of luck.
Thank you.
I hope you take the same energy level that you've demonstrated with us. They are going to be very happy for the newest Raider fan in town.
Well, and I'd like to follow up by saying thank you so much to our friend, Raid Stanley, who's done a good job. And I'm so glad I got to know you. And
Thank you.
thank you for driving me over to the new building so that I could look at that. And you're very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Do any members of the public have any comments? It's very quiet here. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right. Could we have a roll call?
Friend? Frost? McGowan? Howard?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Bagley?
Yes.
Cook?
All right. We are adjourned. I feel like